Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 8th e-agricom webinar, dated 29th of July, 2022. Our first speaker is a graduate of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine from Gregorio Araneta University Foundation. He served as a faculty member, teaching swine management and agricultural entrepreneurship at G. Araneta University Foundation. He held key positions in national professional organizations in the Philippines, PVMA, VPAP, NFHFI, PCCP, and PCSP, and is the president of New Alliance of Rabbit Breeders Association in the Philippines, NARBA. He was recognized as the most outstanding veterinarian in companion animal practice and the most outstanding veterinarian in swine practice given by the Veterinary Practitioners Association of the Philippines. Here to talk about situation, opportunities, and challenges in the rabbit industry, let's welcome Dr. Zosimo De Leon. Our next speaker is a graduate of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine at Gregorio Araneta University Foundation in 1981. He has been working with Infilco Inc. from 1981 to present day. He held various positions in sales in the technical division and is also the National Sales Manager for Animal Nutrition Division handling nutritional products from Europe and the USA. He is the owner of NT Rabbitry and Rhode Island Red Farms in Bulac, Santa Maria, Bulacan, Philippines, and is the head of technical group in New Alliance of Rabbit Breeders Association, NARBA. Here to talk about rabbit production and nutrition management, let's welcome Dr. Cesar Tiongson.
Now, we need also to introduce new bloodlines of your breeds and hybrids for the production purposes. Why? We have seen that even in pigs, way back 30, 40 years ago, we used to raise pigs at 6 months old at around 80, 75 kilos. Now, we are producing 100 to 120 kilograms of market hogs at 5 months or 4 months, 3 weeks. Same with our rabbit. Now, our new Alliance of Rabbit Breeders are proactive and we are for the importation. However, we need to protect them also. That's why our group have decided, and we have talked with our government counterpart, we as the stakeholders, to import good genetics from outside through what we call our own initiative without the support of the government yet. And it should be quarantined 1 month before or in the exporting country, 1 month quarantine in the exporting country. And before it was 2 months here in the Philippines, but we beg that it should be at least 1 month only. Okay, so right now we have already established importation or quarantine facilities. They have required our stakeholders to provide the accredited quarantine facilities, and we are doing that. So why? In rabbit, there are a lot of diseases. Let's say we have also the tularemia, myxomatosis, and of course the most dreaded disease or viral infection, which is the rabbit hemorrhagic disease, which is very similar to our pigs, what we call African swine fever. Okay, so by quarantining them 1 month in the exporting country and another 1 month here in the Philippines, I would say it's very, very safe that all the animals, upon the inspection of our quarantine office, then it will be released. Okay, and thereafter another 1 month, it will be traced back by our government counterpart that everything seems to be in good health condition. Okay, another one is we have imported a lot from Indonesia. Roughly, I would say around 2,000, 2,500 already importation from Indonesia. And we feel that it's high time to go to Europe, to China, to get more of the hybrid lines and some giant breeds. So again, our group is pro-importation, provided it is well kept and protected through our quarantine. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Dr. Cesar, would you like to say something?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. So far, we are importing now from Europe, as Dr. Sosi told, and some in part of Romania for the Transylvania lines. No, so that will help improve the current stock that we have for meat production. Yeah. Next slide, please. Nakamute ka, Doc.
Okay, next slide, please. Meron na ba? Next slide.
Nawala yata si Agricom. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, host kindly, yeah, okay. We need to educate the Filipino consumers to eat the rabbit meat, no? Yan nga eh. Yan ang, excuse, can you go back? Yan nga ang problema eh, no? Still a lot of people are thinking that we are eating the pet type rabbit, no? Honestly, I've talked with some friends of mine in the church, some friends of mine in the civil society. Talagang they don't want to eat. Dr. Cesar, paliwanag mo nga. What are the advantage and disadvantage? I think there's no disadvantage of eating lapan. Can you cite some?
Ganun din eh, Doc. It started nung araw nung tayo, mga bata, bibigyan tayo ng sisiw ng parents natin, palalakihin, and then dadating yung time na kakatayin. Ayaw natin. So that is what is happening right now. Nag-start yung rabbit as a pet. So akala ng tao, pang-pet lang. But the sizes that we're producing is really for meat. The breeders alone could weigh as much as 8 to 10 kilos ang timbang. So hindi siya yung maliit na rabbit. No? Kaya dapat po malaman natin, as Doc Sosi said, Narba is producing rabbit for meat. But may mga members kami na producing also the pet type para sa mga pet supplies and those trying to buy rabbit for their children. Thank you.
Okay. Host, can you go back? Can you go back? We are still on the...
Yeah.
Ayan, okay. So we need to satisfy, no? No, after this, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, our rabbits, the medium-sized rabbits, we give them 50 grams of pellet feeds in the morning, early morning, and then another 50 grams, maybe roughly at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. No? You can give also unlimited forages. Let's say we have the paragrass, we have the ordinary star grass, and actually any grass can be consumed by our rabbits. Or legumes. Now, there is a misnomer of, di ba, Bugs Bunny daw, you need to give carrot. Mali po yan. We don't give carrots, we don't give a lot of apples because they're more on starchy and they are high in water content. Yes, moisture. No? So you're giving kangkong. We don't advise that. The best is you cut the grass. Kung kailan nakatirik ang araw, let's say 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, up to 2 o'clock. No? And then harvest it, cut and carry, and air dry inside your building, and then give it late in the afternoon or maybe the next day in the morning. So, do you know that, Dr. Cesar, ilang beses ngumunguya yung rabbit natin? Continuous ba?
Well, about 120 jaw movement per minute ang kailangan.
Ganun lang ba?
Yeah. To avoid...
Sinubo ko ba? Binilang mo ba?
Binilang ko daw. To avoid malocclusion of teeth. Or
Yeah.
else, pag hindi siya gumunguya, parang baka, pag hindi gumunguya, that means to say may sakit yan.
Okay, na-mention ni Doc Cesar yung baka, no? This is totally different from our ruminants, no? Simple stomach siya, pero hindgut fermenter. Ibig sabihin, malaking role ng kanyang sikum. Doc Cesar will be discussing that, yung tinatawag na psychotrophs na high in nutritive value. So, basically again, with this slide, Ukraine war with Russia. Kaya ko inilagay ito because they are wheat producers, right? Kailangan natin yan, even us, in humans, para sa ating tinapay. But rabbit, normally, they would prefer wheat rather than corn because corn is starchy. So, madali sila mag-bloat at saka, yan na talaga, pinag-aralan na natin yan, huwag na natin baguhin, no? It is the wheat. Kaya kami sa industry, pag bumibili kami ng pellet na specifically for rabbits, I wish it to it that almost nil or halos walang corn grains na incorporated doon, no? So again, when it comes to sa mga feed milling, marami na. I think 7 na yung talagang established feed milling na gumagawa specifically for rabbit. In my case, nagde-deliver sa akin once a week at nagpupunta ng north din yun ng once, even twice a week. Forward truck na ang nagde-deliver. So may market na yung mga feed millers na malaki ang nawala dahil doon sa nangyari sa avian influenza at saka sa African swine fever sa atin.
Actually,
Okay.
Doc, currently there are 11 commercial feed millers who are mixing the feeds na, and more are coming to join the mixing as rabbit is becoming popular nowadays. Yeah. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. Medyo nag-garble yung kay Doc Cesar, no? To inform you, we have our group, the NARBA, in cooperation with Doc Cesar. May ibang lakad siya, pero nakiusap ako sa kanya na try to search other places in saan ka ngayon, Doc Cesar? Saan
Sa Australia, Doc.
Ang laki ng Australia, saan?
Sa Sydney.
Okay, nasa Sydney siya ngayon. Sabi ko, ikot-ikot ka. Alam naman natin ang Australia isa sa may pinakamarami ding rabbit, no? Okay. So, yung oil price is going up, na kailangan din natin yan for the energy source. And then, ito ang mabigat. Ang rabbit, they won't survive. They won't survive if you are always giving yung mababa ang kanyang fiber. So, kinakailangan mataas ang fiber niya. No? Kaya, magdala silang kumain ng legumes, forages, dahil yan ang natural ng rabbit. Okay? So, Dr. Cesar, that is your line?
Actually, mamaya madidiscuss natin yan, but that is the most important nutrient ng rabbit feeds is the fiber. Without fiber, there will be lots of problem for our rabbit. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. Dahil ito with relation to the feeding, no? To be more productive, we have decided, our NARBA in a scientific way, we have decided that more or less our target in the rabbit industry at 1 month, it should be 1 kilo. At 2 months, it should be 2 kilos. And at 3 months, it should be 3 kilos. We have been in this industry for quite a long time, maybe 7-10 years ago, but not as hype as of last 2 years, no? And ngayon nga, pumasok nga yung NARBA, we feel that it's high time that we should be in a scientific manner. Kaya, Doc Cesar, siyang inassign ko siya to have the monitoring similar to our hogs. Yung tinatawag na hog production presentation of the performances in Luzon, Visayas, and in Mindanao. Okay? So, maybe next year, makumpleto namin yan. We will be seeing the actual performance of our rabbit breeders, which more or less will show yung ating mga unang ginagawa na inbreeding, line breeding, because we don't get the importation ng mga new lines, ay totally mababago yan. But it will take time. So we are there already for animal production. Okay? Dahil papatayin tayo ng high feed cost sa laban doon sa timbang niya. So ang laro dito is similar with other livestock in broilers, in chicken, and in pigs and other animals. Yung tinatawag na average daily gain and feed conversion ratio. Okay, next slide please. Okay, there should be a government support for the establishment of the slaughterhouse and quarantine protocols. We have already established yung quarantine protocols. I had mentioned that before, na 1 month quarantine sa exporting countries and another 1 month here, at regularly binibisita yan. Of course, matatakot ang gobyerno, baka pinapalitan. So we have some safeguards. We put the identification mark through either tattooing or microchipping. Okay? So pagdating pa lang sa airport, meron ng manifesto yan, how many rabbits, what kind of breeds, is it a male or a female, and then corresponding yung either microchip or tattoo from the exporting country. Okay? We cannot cater to institutions like hotels, supermarkets, and other shops hanggang wala tayong tatak ng NMIS. Okay? Now, fortunately, medyo mahaba-haba rin pakikipag-usap sa NMIS, but we have already developed yung pakikipagtungo similar with other animals na yung procedures how to slaughter, how to stand, and how to dress and everything about our rabbits, no? So we have the administrative order number 35 and it's already in a full force. However, medyo hesitant pa ang mga stakeholders, let's say mga businessmen, to produce or to build a slaughterhouse. But hopefully, maybe next year, may papasok na rin dyan sa industriya ng slaughtering. Okay? Again, nabanggit ko na, acceptance to the masses to eat rabbit meat. Kaya right now, kami nagpapasalamat sa e-agricom na kami napakita na ganito, na nasingit kami. No, thank you. At to encourage people or us na there is a good market in the near future and eating rabbit meat is one of the healthiest. Or I think it's the best. Tama ba, Dr. Cesar?
Tama, Doc.
Anong advantage?
High protein, less cholesterol, more on
low calorie.
Low calorie, more on amino acids and
low in sodium.
Oils, low in sodium.
Yeah. Alam mo ba, to the listeners, yung taba ng rabbit, low in fat, almost, it's very nil. It's almost less than a fingertip, no? Yung kanilang taba, doon sa shoulder, above the shoulder blade, no? So talagang it's more on meat, no? Okay. Government need to assist farmers organization and market the meat through LGU. Ginagawa na ngayon yan. As a matter of fact, I think it was 1,200 already that has been produced by the Nueva Ecija governor's office or somebody in Nueva Ecija. So, kailangan niya ng 1.8 hanggang 2.2 something na talagang healthy rabbit for dispersal. Remember, during the time of Marcos, yung tatay po ni ating Pangulo ngayon, na there is under ng DA Secretary ni Salvador Escudero, Dr. Salvador Escudero, na our dispersal is more on baboy, more on piglets, di ba? But with the dispersal of the rabbit, simple lang eh. An ordinary household, they can do homesteading. Bigyan siya ng trio, isang lalaki at 2 babae o 3 na babae, no? Madali niyang paramihin. And again, sabi ko nga, 50 grams in the morning, 50 grams in the afternoon, and then give grasses and legumes, okay na eh. And then siguro kung meron siyang meron siyang 15 to 20 na dam, no, those in the near future, ang pamilya niya ay kakain ng 2 beses ng talagang good quality meat. And then siguro, yung sobra noon, you can sell it to the kapitbahay or maybe in the near future, yan sa mga wet markets. Okay? So it's already in place. Yung mga LGUs are supporting that. And of course, we in NARBA, we are being invited, most of the time we are invited either by Zoom or face-to-face na paliwanag namin itong ginagawa na katulad nito. Next slide, please. Okay, emerging diseases, I mentioned that, myxomatosis, tularemia, na-present yan sa Europe, USA, China. No? Fortunately, please keep our fingers crossed, hanggang ngayon ay wala tayong ganyan sakit. I attended one of the seminars, no? Nung ako'y bago-bago pa lang. Doc Sosi, sa inyo, sa baboy, ilan ang bakuna nyo? 6 or 7? Oo, sa rabbit wala. Doc Sosi, kayo sa lugar ninyo, yung baboyan nyo, nirereklamo dahil malangaw at mabaho, di ba? O medyo, sa rabbit wala. Lahat kontra yun sa pagmamanok at sa pagbababoy, laban sa pag-aalaga ng ating kuneho, ay practically, it is on the positive side. So, especially the diseases, totally, we are naive of myxomatosis, tularemia, and rabbit hemorrhagic disease. Of course, there are yung septicemia, yan ang kwan lang natin. Again, with the emerging disease, sana hindi makapasok kasi we are targeting for an exportation of our rabbit or lapan in the near future. Sasamantalahin natin yan. Okay? By the way, doon sa mga new beginners, kung nagsisimula lang po sila, huwag po kayo ma-discourage. The problem with our kids, yung maliliit, we call them kids, no? 1 month old hanggang mga 5 months or 4 months old, no? Ang mangyayari sa kanila, yung first month niya hanggang 2.5 months, very common sa kanila, yung diarrhea and bloat. Bloat similar to kambing or baka, no? Pag nag-bloat yan, 8 hours, 12 hours, kung hindi ganong agapan, wala rin eh. And I have tried all those yung Erceplora, I have tried even what we call yung ginagawa sa baka, yung annular butas. Trocar ang canula, Doc Cesar. Yeah, wala rin eh. Wala rin eh. For the digestive, yeah, okay.
So, pinakamaganda talaga, Doc, sundin nila yung sinabi mo na pag magbibigay ng mga freshly cut grass, no, to avoid bloating. Kaya maganda i-air dry nyo po muna at yung mga pwede naman magbigay ng carrot pa konti-konti as a treat. Siguro maliit na portion lang, maliit lang, hindi yung buo na katulad na hawak ni Peter Rabbit. Yan, to avoid bloating and diarrhea for your rabbits.
Yeah. So, meron namang management style dyan. In my case, if they are newly weaned, dandahan, hindi ko masyadong binubusog. I would rather give less than padamihin. No? Pag medyo nag-adapt na kayo yung bilay ng kanyang intestine, that's the only time I gradually feed more on the pellet form. No? So, currently, we are giving or we are selling at 450 pesos per kilo ng ating carcass, no? Bakit? Mahal. Eh, kayo ba naman, bibili kayo ng lapan or rabbit meat na 450? Pwede bumili ka na lang ng baka, di ba? Pero, hindi yun eh. Napakasustansya ng ating rabbit meat, no? May nagtatanong nga sa akin, ano ba raw ang lasa ng rabbit? Doc Cesar, ikaw, anong lasa?
Mas masarap pa sa manok to me. Hindi siya ma-compare sa baboy kasi baboy fatty, lalo na kung mataba yung nakuha mo. Yung baka naman, sometimes mahirap i-digest, pero the rabbit, madali siya i-digest, napaka-nutritious. Kung kukumpara mo siya sa all meat masasabi ko na rabbit is the healthiest among the meat. Yan. Ako, high school pa, kumakain na.
Bakit naman? Hindi pa uso rabbit na.
Ang magulang ko pareho sa gobyerno nagtatrabaho sa Bureau of Animal Industry. So, nung araw gumagawa ng mga rabies vaccine through the brain ng rabbit, uuwi na ng tatay ko yung katawan. So, yun, kakainin na namin yun. Yun ang pagkain namin. Kaya, natuto na ako talaga kumain noong pa man.
Yeah, okay. Nabanggit niya yan. Ako way back 1962, 62, 63, when I was roughly 7 years old, 8 years old, ang ginagawa ng mother ko, Zosimo, ikaw tagalinis ng clay pot, ikaw tagapagpakain, ano? And by the way, do not disturb yung nag-lactating na dam, no? Kasi they are prey animals. Discuss ko mamaya yun. So way back 1962, 63, hindi gaanong nakukonsume pa ng mga Pilipino, pero may kumukuha sa amin, nandiyan na kami sa Lapan yung pangkain ng tao na dinideliver sa Arangke Market na most of them are Chinese. So talagang kinakailangan natin may educate ang ating mga kasamahan. Bakit 450? Okay. Kasi ang dressing percentage lang natin is 55 to 58% ang recovery natin. Hindi katulad sa baboy. Rumiseko yan ng 20, nagrereklamo na yung mga nagtitinda o yung mga nagkakatay. Dito sa atin ay talagang mataas ang yung dressing percentage, yung dressing percentage natin ay masyadong mababa. Kaya ganyan ang presyo. But hopefully, pag dumami na yan na production, ay baka maipababa ang presyo. Okay? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Hindi ko na pahabayan. Breeding age. Normally, yung doe, 5.5 months to 6 months. For a medium-sized rabbit, let's say, Chinchilla, Californian, New Zealand, yan. But for the giants, let's say we have the Flemish giant, we have the German giants, we have the Transylvania, which ako'y nagpo-produce na ngayon, that the parents came from Romania, no? Romania. So they are bred in a later stage, mga 7 months. They are giants, late maturing. For the buck or the sire, kung yun ay nagagamit na, you call them buck, no? Pero kapag ginagamit na sila, we call them sire. With the same thing with the doe, yung dumalaga is the doe. Pag nanganak na siya, we call them dam. Okay? We can use them as early as 5 months to 5.5 months. Okay? At through my experience, bihira ang infertile na buck and doe. Kaya nga, di ba, pumunta ka sa Las Vegas, kadaming mga bunnies doon, di ba? So, gestation period is 30 days. Lactation is similar with 30 days. Dry period is 5 to 10 days. Actually, I had tried na mag-breeding ako ng right after weaning or day after weaning kung ang rabbit ay condition. Okay, they're producing, they're prolific eh. Kaya nga, di ba, ang ano yun, yung parang inire-refer natin yung na very fertile, yung mga bunnies, di ba? So again, may mga sakit, pero madaling magalaga. Mabilis dumami ang rabbit. You can, you have just a pair. In my case, I have 10 does before and 1 buck. In 1.5 years, I have 600. I have already 600. No? So mabilis, provided alagaan mabuti, at they're very fragile at 1 month to 2.5 months old. Okay, weaning is 30 days, but normally I wean them special with my special bloodlines, yung magaganda kong bloodlines. I wean them at 35 to 37. Okay, growing period, nabanggit ko na kanina yan, no? But it's 2.5 at 3 months. Okay na rin yan, no? So average feed consumption is 100 grams per day, 50 sa umaga, 50 sa hapon. Or you can give them sa gabi, they eat more compared sa daylight. No? You can just give it once a day. Bahala na siya kung kailan niya makukonsume. And then i-unli mo yung grass and legumes. Okay? average daily gain is roughly 330 grams per day from birth. Okay, next slide please. Yan ang natin. Marami nagtatanong. May mga nagkukwit. May nagkukwit. Wala tayong problema sa sakit, but there are still beginners na nagkukwit. Number one, hindi sila nagbasa na muna. Hindi sila nagtanong. Wala silang ilang group. No? And then, you know, Doc Cesar, we are inviting them to join us. No? Ang problema, bira ka agad eh. And then mamamatayan. And then gusto yung mamahaling ka agad. By the way, there are rabbits that cost, in my case, no, hindi naman sa pagyabang, no. I have one rabbit that cost 250,000, one buck that came from direct from France, no. It's genetically engineered PS119. Now it's already proven na hanggang third generation, it will be providing good average daily gain. So meron namang mumurahin, meron 500, may 700, may 1,000. So I suggest for the beginners, they can start doon muna sa mumurahin. And then kung makita nila yung trading, makita nila yung paano mag-alaga, that's the only time they upgrade. No? Okay. So,
importante, Doc, ma-observe nila yung behavior ng rabbit para when they buy a much expensive one for their own operation, more or less madali na po. Because ang rabbit, napakababa ng maintenance. Hindi ganun ka-tedious katulad ng baboy at manok. Basta mapakain mo lang sa umaga, mapakain mo sa hapon, mabreed mo, tapos na yan. Antay ka na lang ng mga anak. Yan, ganyan po.
Yeah. Okay, current market. Actually, ito ang topic namin sa grupo namin eh. May nagkukwit dahil dumami yung production nila, dahil mabilis kang dumami, hindi na alam kung saan dadalhin. You need to first introduce to your family, and then kapitbahay, and then yung sa mga marites na mga kapitbahay, oh si Doc, oy si ganito, meron pala, bili nga tayo. Okay? So yun. Number 3 is lechoneros. Very kwan ngayon ang mga lechon. Actually right now, Doc Cesar, 3 yung may order sa akin. Merong lechonero dito, kinuha sa akin, and then lilichonin niya, ano? And then babayaran niya ako ng halaga nung binili niyang karne sa akin. Okay? So, tapos bibenta niya ng more or less yung lapan, no? Yung mismong karkas, tumitimbang ng mga 1.4 yan. Yan ang masarap na lechonin na more or less 4 months. Karkas na yan, ha? And then, of course, skin on. Similar to the scalding of pigs, no? May skin pa rin siya. At nabibenta yan from 1,000 to 1,003 per rabbit. Okay? Now, online market selling, meron yan. Pet shops. Nasobra ako ng production, so meron akong 1 month old hanggang 1 month 3 weeks. I'm selling it to pet shops, no? Mabilis sa kanila yung colored. Although gusto rin ng iba, mga may puti, no? So pet shops na magandang market din yan because yung cute natin kahit paano, maliit lang ang kita, pero may markup din na bata pa, ibebenta mo na. Kasi less trouble ka sa pagpapalaki at saka yung mortality nga na sinasabi ko from 1 month to 2.5 months, may mangyayari. Okay, Breeders Genetic Foundation, nandyan ako ngayon. Nandyan ako. I have invested a lot for my genetics. So ngayon, meron tayong mga PS lines, yung mga genetically engineered, at meron tayong mga magagandang pedigreed Transylvania, pedigreed Californian, and New Zealand, and the rest. At ganoon din naman yung mga ibang breeders sa atin. It costs or it demands roughly from 10,000 to 40,000 per head of breeders, no? Okay, nagagamit din yan sa current market yung medical laboratory use na mga nagtitesis at hopefully ang target market natin yung hospital na Dr. Cesar, ikaw ay diabetic. Bakit? Ba't kinakailangan yun ang kainin mo?
Mas maganda kasi low glycemic index din siya, low cholesterol kasi kapartner ng diabetes ang high cholesterol. So, if you eat the protein at hindi rabbit, mataas ang cholesterol mo. With rabbit,
Yes.
kumain ka ng protein, mababa yung cholesterol mo. At dahil nga
Yes.
may omega-3 fatty acid pa siya. So,
Yan, okay.
as an added energy, Doc.
Okay. So yung target, actually, nandiyan na tayo. Pag nakuha yung slaughterhouse, pwede na tayo sa mga hotels and restaurants, supermarket, food processors, at saka hopefully in the next, I would say another 3 years, no? Kasi mayroon pang matching yan at saka mayroon pang obserbahan bago tayo makapag-export ng 2 years observation bago tayo totally makapag-export. Okay? So, ibalik ko lang yung mga dishes, ewan ko kung di-discuss pa yung Doc Cesar, lahat po ng luto ng manok, lahat ng luto ng kambing, lahat ng luto ng baboy, lahat ng luto ng baka ay po pwede po sa ating lapan o yung rabbit meat. No? Last July 23, nag-face-to-face po tayo dito at pinakain po natin sila ng merienda, lugaw. Lugaw with yung talagang lapan, yung kanyang rabbit meat. Yung tanghalian po natin ay piniritong rabbit at saka kalderetang rabbit. So, kahit anong luto po at sana masubukan ninyo na kumain ng what we call lapan o yung meat type of rabbit, hindi pet type po. That's all. Maraming salamat po. Cesar?
Okay. So, good afternoon to everyone. I will be talking more on rabbit production management and some nutritional tips for raising our rabbits. So, next slide. Okay, I will be discussing about production parameters, a little introduction to rabbit nutrition, nutrient requirements for rabbit, common feed for rabbit, and the feeding system. Next slide. Okay, production parameters, doon na-explain na rin ni Doc Sosi, but I want to give emphasis that the doe should be bred at 5.5 to 6 months old, at least 2.4 to 2.8 kilos, buck 5 to 5.5 months old, and gestation period will be 30 days, meaning from the time na binread to the time na manganganak siya is 30 days. And another 30 days lactation. But somehow, yung iba po, even at 25 days na naglalactate, pinapabreed na yung rabbit as long as the body condition is good. Meaning, it's not thin, hindi po labas yung mga buto sa likod, then you can breed your rabbit by bringing your dam to the back. Hindi po vice versa. Dahil territorial, so ang rabbits, para po establish lang sa isang lugar, mas maganda po na dinadala ang dam kaysa sa back. So, normally, average birth weight po ng rabbit natin at birth ay 40 to 45 grams. At pag ditong weight na to, nakakasigurado tayo na magiging maganda ang growth rate nila. So, average daily gain of 330 grams from birth to market. As sabi ni Doc about lactation days na 30 days kanina, sa kanya inaabot pa ng 28 or kung gusto niyo mapabilis because we can breed our rabbits about 5 to 6 times a year. So, ganun karami kaya mabilis siyang mabilis dumami ang ating mga rabbit. Next slide. So, dry period to next breeding will be 5 to 10 days. That's the normal because you have to give time for your dam to bring back to its old body condition and size and weight. So, as I've said, we can breed and kindle 5 to 6 times a year. So, number of kits weaned, average of 6 kits, but we have so far sa mga members namin, naabot ng 21 kits per kindling sa mga hybrid po natin yan. So weaning period, you can wean at 25, 30, or 35. And growing period of 2.5 to 3 months at 2 to 3 kilos weight. Yan na po yung pinakamagandang ideal weight, but you can achieve that with the use of a hybrid rabbits na sinasabi natin. Even yung mga PS line, no? Na second generation, first generation, third generation can really improve the growth rate of your growing animals, growing rabbit to be exact. And then average feed consumption of 100 grams per day from birth to market. From the time na nag-start na sila kumain up to market, I should say. Next slide. Okay, introduction to rabbit nutrition. Rabbits, they rely heavily on fibers, mostly non-digestible fibers and less digestible fibers. So grasses and hays are the most important component of rabbit diets. But because in our current formulation, we cannot rely heavily on copra, on wheat as a source of fiber. Aside from grasses and hay, we can add more non-digestible fibers like commercially available fiber sources. Yan po ang mga kailangan natin in order to reach the desired fiber level na hinahanap na ating mga rabbit for better nutrition. And as I said, sabi ni Doc Sosi, that digestion takes place in the cecum where most of these fibers are fermented. The ceca or the cecum can hold 40 to 60% of the digesta. So the rest are nasa large or small intestine for further digestion. And the stomach is used for storage, just like in chicken, the crop, no? But one thing is important, that we should not leave this stomach empty, as it will cause a problem of diarrhea or bloating sa ating mga animals. Kailangan continuously may laman po siya. Yan.
Doc
Next
Cesar,
slide. Yes,
Doc
Doc.
Cesar, idadagdag ko lang ha. Yung stomach, ako minsan biglang may namamatay na lang. Sa pagbubukas ko, I have noticed that the stomach nagbe-burst yung kanyang stomach. And sa research ko, dahil ang animal ay prey animals eh. Hindi yung prey ha, hindi yung nagdadasal. P-R-E-Y. What do you mean by prey animals? Sila yung, di ba, prey, mag-hunting ka, mga prey animals, yung mga rabbit, kung ano, no? Ang nangyayari, sila yung madaling matakot. Takot sila sa aso, sa pusa, sa daga. So, stress sa kanila yun eh. Kaya siguro yung metabolism niya o yung enzymes niya, nagninipis yung kanyang lining ng kanyang stomach. Nagbe-burst na ang daming pagkain pa doon. Yan yun lang.
Posible rin dahil, posible din minsan na overfeeding, kaya po nag-burst din yung kanyang stomach. That can be a case too. Or sometimes, hindi natin napansin, baka nalagyan ng matigas na bagay or something that is not normal or should not be found in the feeds, tumusok para sumabog yung ating stomach. Yan po yung mga posible.
Hardware disease.
Yeah. Okay, so next slide please. So, rabbit small intestine is the shortest among any species. Lahat po, pinakamaikset. 12% lang ang total gastrointestinal volume ng rabbit. That's why, very important po ang rabbit ang small intestine niya para sa absorption ng mga nutrients. Because dito rin, as I said, it is the site of nutrient absorption for carbohydrates, fat digestion, fat emulsification, and acid neutralization. And because rabbit cannot vomit, so wala, talagang pag kinain niya, talagang anlabas na sa may puweta na. Because of very well-developed cardiac sphincter na nag-hold para hindi po mag-vomit ang ating rabbit. Next. So ito, we start with the kit, no? As we said, yung anak, 30 days, lalabas siya. So, makikita nyo minsan sa araw, dahil bira naman po tayo lumalabas ng madaling araw or ng gabi, parang hindi pinadedede ng dam yung kanyang mga kit. But, it's because the kids nurse from the dam once a day for a few minutes. Sa gabi, normally, gaya ng sabi ni Doc, crepuscular ang rabbit natin. So, hindi natin talaga siya makikita. But the only indication that we see that the kids are all right is when we see that their stomach or digestive tract or the belly is distended. And that indicates that milk production is all right. But once we see them getting thin, the skin becomes rough and crumpled, that means to say the milk of the dam is not enough, or the dam does not want to nurse the kid. So that's why, as part of the production strategy, when you breed your dam, you should have 2 or 3 dams bred all at the same time, so that in case there's a dam who has problem with in lactation, there is a supportive dam who can take place of that problematic dam to take care of the kids. Or else, mamamatay na lang po yan, makikita nyo. And if nagkaganon, that's the time ants will come in and pester on other kids that you still have. Yan po. Next slide. So, as I've said, the kids will have continuous growing teeth. They tuloy-tuloy po yan. And 2 pairs of upper incisors are already developed. They are also born with some permanent and deciduous teeth and have all their permanent teeth by 3 to 5 weeks of age. Because at that age, they start to mingle or join with the dam to eat the pellet feeds. So, if hindi po permanent teeth, then the problem of tooth eruption might or impaction might happen. So the proper occlusal surface is through lateral motion. Parang kabayo rin, baka, like that, with up to 120 jaw movement per minute. So with this action, it will help keep the surface worn down and avoid malocclusion in the later stage. Especially when you see your animals is sick and they're not eating, these teeth will surely grow fast and prevent them from eating more when they become okay. So, but we can cut that with the use of flies or nippers in order for them to go back to eating.
Pero
Also,
Doc Cesar,
yes, Doc.
Doc Cesar, minsan hereditary din. Pero sabi mo nga, may relasyon yung how to feed, no? How to feed the rabbit. There are some cases yung ating mga kapwa rabbiteros, no? They give the stem of the malunggay or ano pa ba yung nakikita mo? Para
you can give the branches,
yes.
you cut the malunggay tree, give the branches and let them nibble it. And it will help prevent malocclusion. Kasi nga, because of this jaw movement and worn down ng surface ng teeth. So that can be a good source of fiber also for our rabbits.
Ang galing, Doc Cesar. May pumunta sa akin, mas, siyempre, tayo veterinaryo, nakakaintindi, pero siya, matagal na siya nagbe-breeding. O Doc, meron kang isang malocclusion. Kita niya kasi yung lower tsaka yung upper incisor niya, hindi nagtatama. Instead, ang daming mga hairballs dito. Yung pag siguro nagdidila siya, nadidikit doon. Kita niya kagad.
Nagiging undershot siya.
Yes, undershot or overshot. Kaya there will come a time na hindi na siya marunong kumain dahil sobrang hahaba na. Kaya nangangayayat na rin sila.
Yeah. And they will die eventually if hindi po natin yan mapansin. Yan. So you can cut it with nipper or pliers, no, na matalas para matanggal yung overgrown teeth. Okay, the kids also start eating with the dam at day 15. And they also start leaving the nest box at that time. So we have to adjust our ration sa ating mga dam because it will lose their body condition if your kids will start eating with the dam. So we need to add extra feeds. Next slide. So these are the feeding schedule for kids from day of weaning to 3 months old. Weaning days, 30 days, we can give 50 grams per day. That's per day. So you can divide it by 2, half in the morning and half in the evening. So what we do normally is use the Reno liver spread can, which is when we weigh, it's roughly around 50 grams also. So you can use that. So on day 51 to 90, nasa growing stage na po sila, you can give 100 grams per day plus grasses unlimited na po. So you can give like stargrass, napier, you can give banana leaves, kangkong you can do, but you have to air dry that for 1 day para to reduce the moisture doon sa kangkong. But mostly hay, Timothy grass, yan ang mga ginagamit po natin, especially for the breeders. Yung mamahaling breeders natin, you can give them Timothy and alpha hay. So
Yung
for
alfalfa
bucks,
hay, Doc Cesar, pang bata pa yan di ba?
yeah.
Alfalfa hay.
Yeah, but don't give too much alpha for your old animals because it will cause problem to the reproductive system.
Yeah.
Makakaroon po
We
ng
import that. Up to now, we are still importing that.
Urinary lithiasis, I should say. So for bucks, 100 to 150 grams per day depending on the breed. We don't feed much our buck because if they grow so much weight, tatamarin din po yan. Hindi po yan gagalaw. At madaling mapagod. So let's put our buck in tip-top condition para ma-maximize po natin ang paggamit sa kanila. Okay? Next slide. So this is a representative sample of weighing our breeders or our patterners, no? So we have a target weight of 2.5 months at 2.77 kilos for giant breeds or 3 kilos in 3 months. This is a German giant from one of our friends. It's 2.5 months, but it's weighing 2.77 kilos. So if it is overstock of buck, then this is good for market already. Next slide.
Dagdag ko lang, no? I'm using combination of giants and the medium size. So the carcass seems to be more compact, pero nandoon pa rin yung ADG niya. And then yung FCR, unlike yung puro giants ka, medyo mas tumipid ng konti. So, yan ang observation ko.
Baling, what Doc doing is breed the medium size like the New Zealand, the Californian, breed it to giant to improve the size of the offspring. And then you can select from the offspring which is the biggest or the heaviest, and you can use that for future breedings like replacement doe or replacement buck in the future. So the others that are not passing to that weight, you can use that for slaughtering. So here is the gestating and lactating feeding schedule. For days 1 to 15, which is breeding gestation, we give 150 to 200 grams per day for body conditioning. Because the condition their body is, the more eggs will be produced. So if we do that, we put our dam into the tip-top shape, thereby increasing also the reproductive capability of the dam or the doe for that matter. At day 15, which is the first gestation check, you weigh the dam. So it's normal po na before breeding, timbangin nyo din siya. And at day 15, if she grows 100 to 150 grams increase in weight, it means pregnancy. unless you know how to palpate para malaman yung pregnancy, then that's another way of doing that. On day 16 to 30 of the gestation days, from 150, you can increase to 200 grams per day to prepare the body for the kindling time. Because we cannot just maintain the body condition. Remember, may laman po yung kit. And once mga anak yan, ubus lahat yung weight na nakita natin kanina. Considering na ang timbang ng kits is 40 grams to 50 grams, so 45 grams. So roughly, kung may anak na 10, that is roughly 450 grams na. And kung hindi mo na-develop yung body niya, but more on sa fetus, bagsak po yung katawan. But normally, they lose weight after gestation or after giving birth. So at day 30 to 35 of lactation days, we reduce the feeds to 100 grams to avoid mastitis, as the kids normally nurse once a day. This is the problem mostly we encounter sa mga kasama rin namin, sa mga members na nagkakaroon ng mastitis problem because overexpose yung nanay sa mataas na pagkain. And remember, we said that the kids only nurse once a day. So, if overfeeding, masyadong marami, masyadong lalaki yung dede ng inyong dam, then you will develop mastitis in the dam. So, very important po na malaman natin na bawasan natin yung pagkain dahil hindi po natin sila kailangan palakihin, but the 100 grams is just to push the milk to go out during nursing time.
Additional to that, Dr. Cesar, additional to that, no? We have noticed that the consistency of the dam's milk is more viscous. I mean, medyo parang kondensado siya rather than evaporada. Yeah. So medyo mahirap lumabas doon sa yung kanyang mga orifices ng kanyang teats. So kinakailangan talaga sa pag-aalaga, every now and then or every day, you need to check the mammary organs para makita kung nagkakaroon ng mastitis.
Yeah. Ginagawa rin po natin yan sa baboy. We do mastitis check, no? So we can do that also to our dam before manganak, check whether masyado nang overexpose ang kanyang mammary gland and mag-reduce na po tayo ng pagkain. So on day 35 to 60, increase it to 200 to 250 grams to avoid body loss at weaning. As I've said, the kids share meal at age 15, so we have to condition the sow, the kid or the dam up to weaning time. Para by the time we wean, 5 days after, she is ready for the next breeding. Next slide. Okay.
Dr. Cesar, putulin mo lang kita. Sinasabi ko lang, no? Pero sabi ko, wag muna natin gawin dahil we are not on a tropical country. Hindi ganong kalakas sa kumain yung ating rabbit. But in France, day 18 na naglalactate sila, binibreed na nila, ha? Binibreed na nila yung rabbit nila. Dahil mass production niya eh. Yeah.
Meron pa nga iba, day 5 pa lang. Day 5.
Oo nga.
Oo nga. Binibreed na nila. Anyway, well, sa atin nga, tropical country, mas maraming time na mainit. So just like what we're doing with any other livestock, we adjust the feeding time. So if sa rabbit natin, during summertime, we must adjust the feeding time to early morning. As sabi nga, crescopular sila. So they're more active during those times. We better give them the feed during 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, consume that, and late in the evening. So we just provide some grasses which is very important during summertime na mas marami, mas mataas ng konti ang fiber level ng ating mga rabbits. So, yes, Doc.
Doc Cesar, dadagdag ko lang, hindi lang yung feeding time, even breeding time. It should be there crepuscular sila, yung madaling araw, at saka yung nagtatakip silin. That's the time they should breed. And by the way, in rabbits, the ovulation is stimulated by the coitus o yung actual breeding. So in my case, fall off. We call it fall off, no? Kasi yung rabbit, after mating, magta-trust siya. After trusting, biglang bumabagsak at sumisigaw yung lalaki. I don't know. Siguro sabihin niya, ano sinasabi niya? Cesar, sa lalaki, pag
Sarap.
Success. And I have noticed, ni-research ko, yung tension ng kanyang hind legs, nag-stiffen yon, yung talagang tumitigas. Pag nag-ejaculate siya, nawawala yung stiffening niya, and kaya bumabagsak na paside siya. That's the only time you would note that naging successful yung breeding. And yung breeding na yan ay na-stimulate yung doe, yung dam, na magkaroon ng fertilization within 6 hours after the actual breeding.
Yeah. That's why importante po na we breed our dam during dawn or the cooler time of the day because seasonal infertility also happens to rabbit or not infertility, I would say less breeding performances during hot months. Yan po. So, nagkakaroon ng non-rabbit days, walang hindi buntis, at malalaman na lang natin kung hindi sila nanganak. Unless, marunong po tayo magpalpate. Yan.
Dr. Cesar, I don't recommend palpation. Anyway, you have to eat. Anyway, kung konting kakainin. But mind you, may clinic yung mga anak ko. We did yung ultrasound at 15 to 16 days. Kita, you can count how many kids or developing embryo ang makikita. But it is not highly recommended, especially kung backyard ka lang, di ba? Or homesteading lang. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, nutrient requirements for rabbit. Rabbit needs about 12 to 20% of protein, especially the high-performing ones. 20% for the breeders can be lower than 12%. Protein in their diets for their maximum performance for growth and production. So at the moment, we only have two types of rabbits available commercially, the growers and the breeder ration. But there are farms who do gestating and lactating feeds, mixing their own and having it tall mix for pelleting in some commercial feed mills. Okay, next slide. So carbohydrates and fats, these are the two important nutrient requirements, for they provide both the energy. Rabbit needs energy for its production and maintenance. Remember, ang rabbit has almost less fat in the body, so it needs fat for production and maintenance and as a source of energy. And it is responsible for production of milk for the kids. So that's what we need, more carbohydrates and fats for our rabbits. It is worth to know that rabbit adjust their food intake to try and satisfy their energy requirements. General recommendation for breeding rabbit is 2,600 to 2,700 kcal per ME kilo dry matter. That's why in the formulation, we have to look at especially the energy requirement or the energy part of the feeds should be within 2.6 to 2.7 kcal. Next slide. Carbohydrates, which is a major source of energy, most of these came from in a form of fiber. As I've said, copra, wheat, and some corn byproducts also can be used, but byproducts, not as corn. because high diet in grain or fermentable fibers such as oats and corn can cause enteritis. We don't need fermentable fiber much to our rabbits, but we need the non-fermentable fiber. Like high levels of non-digestible fibers like Timothy hay, alpha-alpha hay will surely help prevent enteritis and obesity, but should not be given continuously to breeders as it contributes to calcium in the kidney and urinary tract that may lead to infection and reproductive problems. So this is better for your growing kids, the Timothy hay and the alpha-alpha hay, but not much on the breeder. Perhaps you can give it on a case-to-case basis only. Next slide. Role of fiber in rabbit nutrition, it is for growth, as fiber is the major nutrients. As we said, this is very important. Fiber also helps prevent fur chewing because they dedicate most of their time chewing, then licking the body and causing fur chewing will be less. Unlike in cats, they have problems of fur or hairballs. No? So also it helps prevent enteritis, which can lead to weight loss and death, cecal impaction or bloating, and prevent malocclusion of teeth. So fiber is really a important nutrient in the rabbit. Next slide. Minerals also are needed for bone formation and teeth formation. It should contain large amount in two minerals, the calcium and the phosphorus. They are also involved in maintaining acid-alkaline balance in the blood for the proper absorption of calcium in the bone. So normally we have a higher calcium and phosphorus in the gestation, so it is related to the amount of feeds that we're providing, and lowering it on the lactation in order to maximize the mineralization and releasing the needed minerals for this production stage. Okay, next slide. Vitamins also are required in a very small amount to speed up chemical reaction with the rabbit body. One good thing about rabbit, they don't require much of these water-soluble vitamins. As long as the feeds are complete, then they're okay. But if you have a high production requirement for your rabbits, addition of vitamins, soluble or injection are also necessary. And the most important vitamins are A and D and B vitamins, and also choline and some thiamine. Thank you. Next. So here
Dr.
are...
Dr. Cesar, putulin lang kita doon. I have noticed in our, yung mga group chats, mga group pages about rabbit, they even suggest that every other day to inject ADE or B complex, which I strongly disagree. Because, you know, bugbog sarado na yung pigi nung yung thigh region of the rabbit. Eh. It's not that, I mean, it is important, why not? But and not to that extent.
Siguro, Doc, there are problems that they encounter. That's why they're giving that. But after the rabbit becomes normal, they stop using it again. So
yeah,
it's also important. Yeah. It's also important that you should provide the best nutrition for your rabbit by studying the nutrient content of the feeds that you're giving to your rabbit. Sometimes kasi...
I agree. Doc, I agree na maybe if you're giving purely forage and legumes, you need to, you know, to have an injectable or oral vitamin minerals. But if you're giving a sufficient amount of pellets, which I would suggest that it has been well formulated by animal nutritionists, I really don't suggest na it's almost every other day of giving injectables. Huh?
Well, there are places in the parplang areas in the Philippines, like in the provinces, where the supply of rabbit feeds is not available. So
Okay.
some of them are using other brands for chicken, which they feed to the rabbits. But unfortunately, we have some discussions with our members about problems arising from using those kind of feed, but they have no other recourse. So we tell them to provide vitamin and mineral either through soluble or through injection, depending on their situation.
Okay.
Okay, so here are the recommended nutrient requirements for rabbit. For bucks and growing animals, we need a crude fiber of 20 to 22% fiber. You see, this level of fiber cannot be reached with the use of ordinary fiber source like copra and wheat flour or wheat meal. No, we cannot reach this fiber level, but we have to use commercially available fiber sources. And then crude protein of 12 to 16%. We have the digestible energy of 2,006 to 2,700 kcal. Also, for your pregnant and nursing, those should have 15 to 20% fiber for these animals. A crude protein of a higher level because they need for the development of the kids and the milk. And the same energy requirement. We just adjust the amount of feeds that you will give in order to achieve the desired energy required by the animals on a particular stage of production. Next slide. So we have different commercial rabbit pellets in the market. Actually, I did not name them, but we have around 11 commercial feeds who are reaching not as the maximum, but within the middle range of crude protein, because perhaps it will increase more of the cost. So that's why the average here is about 15 to 16% crude protein, I should say. But for fiber, really it is really low, about maximum of 18% and low of 8%. So we are still behind this fiber level. So we have really to provide extra grasses like Timothy hay, the malunggay branches that can be support to the crude fiber requirement of our rabbit. Next slide. For breeder also, we see an average of 16 to 18, 17 average of protein, which is minimal. For crude fiber, we also see a low fiber level of 6% in some and high of 18% in some. So we have to look at the fiber content of the feeds that we're buying in order to ensure that the fiber requirement is met. So if you want, you can add, but adding more feeds will not help achieve that. So it's in the formulation. So next slide. Okay, these are the commonly used ingredients and additives in the formulation of rabbits. We have for protein, we have soybean meal. Animal protein is a no-no to rabbit feeds, as they are not a carnivorous but a herbivorous animal. So green feeds like growing plants such as grasses and hay are equally important. Cereal grains like corn germ meal, palm kernel can be given. Meal feed and byproducts, rice hull, copper cake, vitamins and minerals, toxin binders, and enzymes are the most common materials we use for our rabbit. Next slide. Okay, cecotropes, which is very not very normal in other livestock. No? Cecotropes are the B vitamin-rich rabbit poop, which they eat directly from their anus. It's a glistening, pelleted poop that you will see that is adhering to their anus. And if your rabbits are undernourished, they will eat this as a reissuance of this nutrient that is lacking in their feeds. So this is normal.
Cesar, normal yan.
This is normal.
Normal yan na yung poop. Yeah.
You can really differentiate it from the normal poop and the cecotropes. Cecotropes are like this, they are molded together, but the normal poop is like dung of the goats, no? Bullet type na hiwa-hiwalay. But the cecotropes are like this, so this is B vitamin-rich poop that they will reissue to themselves by eating it direct from their anus. Next slide. Yan. Ayun po, the one outside are the normal poop, which they will not eat, except for these cecotropes. So it's a major importance of ingesting cecotropes. At age 4 weeks is related to protein reutilization, especially when rabbit feds are low digestibility products. And the value of reutilization is to prevent deficiency. Gaya na sabi ko kanina, pag meron silang nararamdaman na deficiency sa katawan nila, they will reutilize these cecotropes. So cecotropes, as research indicates, is a good source of essential amino acids like this methionine, lysine, and threonine. So protein pa rin po yan. Okay? Next slide. Feeding system. We have 3 types of feeding system. One, we call it extensive system. They are dependent on forages and kitchen waste. So kitchen waste, hindi naman po yung kanin o kanin baboy, whatever. But mga vegetables na hindi na natin nagamit like kangkong, carrots na maliliit, which we can provide as a treat. Advantages are it's cheap and easy to provide the quantity of food required. Okay, next slide. Disadvantage, forage availability varies with season. Like now, rainy season, mahirap lumabas dahil mababasa tayo, but if for the love of rabbits, we do that. So, yun lang po yung disadvantage nun. And the quality of forage reduces during dry season. Like yung mga dry hay, no? Not as compared to a dry forage or dry grasses. Labor intensive, you have to go out of your house to offer this, and it can introduce disease and health problem if not properly handled. That's why sinasabi ni Doc Zosi, you collect it during 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and don't give direct to your rabbit as they pose a problem with the intestine. So you have to air dry and give them in the afternoon para po makasigurado tayo. Just like sa mga goats, you don't bring them out early in the morning as the grass are still high in moisture, as they will cause bloating in goats. Kaya medyo late na dapat nilalabas. So you just hand fed them before bringing them out in the field. Next slide, please. So number 2, which is the intensive system, it is totally dependent on prepared concentrate foods from the feed mill. These are our pelleted feeds. The advantage of feeds is high levels of production, and little risk of disease introduction because pellet normally is already pre-cooked. All the ingredients are well grounded. So any disease present would be killed through pelleting. But the disadvantage of this is very costly and depends on the feed millers in terms of availability and quality, especially now that we're having problems with raw materials. It's hard to find some sources of feeds, no? So make sure that the feeds will still be, should always be available in your bodegas. Next slide. And this, no, the number 2 is the one that we normally use for commercial rabbit production. Number 3 is the semi-intensive system, which is a combination of the extensive and intensive. And this is also most suitable for small-scale producers. So you can provide only grass or leftovers, or sometimes feeds, or in combination. So this is the semi-intensive system. Next slide. Okay, let's not forget about water. It is the most important nutrient for rabbits and should be given fresh and readily available. Rabbits consume approximately 10% of their body weights in water per day. So about 2 kilos is 200 ml of water per day for your 2-kilo rabbit. But make sure your water source should always be fresh, clean, and free from bacteria. And also it should be not hot, but should be cold, as rabbit will not drink if your drinker is, or if your water is hot, especially during summertime. Next slide. So these are example of water distribution. You see in this picture on the left, it has water filters and bin. This is to remove some bacteria, viruses, or helminths, or any other protozoa that might contaminate our rabbits. And it holds first in those bin before it goes to the filter before moving into our water lines. Water lines should be checked regularly as sometimes the nipple drinker are stuck. So if we think that they are drinking but they're not, then it will cause a heavy toll on our rabbit production. That's why it is wise that every time you move around your rabbit, try to push the nipple drinker to ensure that water is available. Just like what we're doing with our pigs. Every time we move around, we pinch the nipple drinker to make sure that water is available and it's not hot. The picture on the left is from the farm of Doc Sosi, where he put this system to ensure that the rabbit will have a fresh and steady supply of water.
Okay, I would like to, just to inform also, no, if you would note that there are three vertical blue tubes, no. On the right is 5 microns, and then 2 microns, and then on the left blue tube is carbon black. So talagang well filtered yan. And then after that, it crosses on the top, and then meron siyang what we call UV light before they are stored in the container above.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that ends up my presentation. Thank you very much to all listeners. Question later on. Thank you, Doc Sosi, for the help.